All right, so we're back and we're talking about iPads in restaurants. It's so interesting to me because people are really judgmental about iPads, screen time, and kids. I'm of the mindset, do what you got to do, but I
Yeah.
also see the pros and cons to both sides. And I just want to say before we dive into this, no judgment. If you're a mom who needs an iPad to get through a dinner, get through a coffee, whatever you're doing, no judgment. We see you, we feel that. Do you? But let's talk about it just a little bit because it is hotly debated. What's your go-to?
I have so many feelings about this because so many of our friends and family members, they rely on a phone or an iPad at a restaurant. I don't have an iPad or a tablet for the kids. I don't think I want to be that person. But all that to say, I just told this story about the Cheesecake Factory.
You could have used an iPad.
I maybe could have used an iPad.
Yeah.
I think, like, listen, we do TV time when I'm making dinner because I need a mental break at that time. I need to make dinner. I also am like, from the day, just kind of like exhausted. And it's nice to put on Miss Rachel. The girls like Miss Rachel and they get an hour of it. And it's great for everyone. I saw this thing though that said like when you're watching as like on a TV screen, it's doesn't do as much. I want to use my words cautiously here because I don't you have to do what you have to do and again no judgment. But I guess it's like not as bad as when you just have a straight ass iPad or tablet in your face.
Hmm.
Because we all grew up watching television and it's more of like a community thing where you're all seeing the same thing and interacting and when Miss Rachel's on and she's counting or she's like what's in the box? What do you see? Like I could do that too and I can be like what's in the box? Oh, it's a little pink elephant. But when they're so immersed in the iPad, they're not really paying attention to anything around them. Have you watched Adolescence yet on Netflix?
I haven't.
I am like scarred for life. It was so brilliant and such a great conversation starter about how detrimental social media
Mm.
can be and how reliant parents are, or how not even reliant, just, when your kid's in their room and they're on the computer or whatever it is, and you're like, you're not thinking anything of it. You're not realizing the damage that they're doing by, spending you don't know what they're doing. And basically, the parents said, like, at the end, I don't want to give it all away, but like, at 1 a.m., I'd see like his computer light on in his room. And I just didn't think anything of it. Like, I didn't know what he was doing. And so I want to be very, I don't know. I would recommend all parents watch this show. It's 4 episodes, and the brilliant part about it is that each episode has zero cuts. It's all done in one take.
Wow.
Yes.
Cool. So it's scripted.
It's scripted, yes. It's a mini series, but every episode was done in one take. The
Hmm.
acting is phenomenal. But it's a good, wake up call to like how reliant are we going to be on these devices that we didn't necessarily have growing up. And
Yeah.
so I'm going to go as long as possible. No iPads at restaurants until the Cheesecake Factory meltdown. Kaya's actually been very good at restaurants and understands like, patience and how we eat at the table and and so I want to really continue with that. It's like our feelings, right? Feelings change and my feelings might change and we don't you don't know until you know.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
the
kind of how I
second
feel.
you say no iPads, you're going to be the mom who needs an iPad. So you're really
Exactly, exactly. And
exactly
that's
right.
why I'm like, no judgment. You have to do what you have to do. And I don't judge any parents that I see with that. Because the
Right.
other day I also saw at a table two parents having what looked like a really great lunch, and their toddler was eating her lunch with an iPad, and they were having like a lovely conversation. Whereas Jason and I couldn't even have a conversation
Right.
and all that to say, what are your thoughts?
So, Andrew and I, we don't do screens at restaurants.
Yeah.
And our mentality on it is that we want to teach our kids how to be in public and how to be bored
Yeah.
and we don't feel like, we don't want our kids to feel like
They
they
always
always
have
need
to
to
be
be
entertained.
entertained and always stimulated. And we want them to be in public and we want them to come to nice places with us. And We want them to talk to us. And like, yes, Dylan's in a place now where she can like actually have conversations with us. But like last night we went to a pizza place. We're starting a new family tradition where we go to a pizza place once a week. And when we ordered the meal, the waiter was like, okay, this deep dish is going to take 50 minutes. And we're like, cool. We sat there. Dylan was awesome. Collins was awesome. And it was, it felt like a parenting win. Like we'd worked towards that. And it was a
Yeah.
lot of really rough cheesecake type moments for us to get there, but they can do it now. And the other thing, something that we did, instead of a screen, we have a little restaurant box that we keep in the car and we bring into a restaurant. And if things are starting to melt down, we'll give them the restaurant box. And it has crayons and Play-Doh and, just
Yeah.
little things to keep them entertained that isn't a screen. So they're still involved with us. They're still, they're not checking out. And, that's just what we've decided to do. But let me be the first to tell you, Dylan hated car rides. As a child, she fucking hated them. She would cry, scream bloody murder. It was terrible. And we did a lot of road trips. California is wonderful for going to Santa Barbara, and that's something Andrew and I love to do. We were fucking fast to buy an iPad and play Miss Rachel so that we could get from point A to point B without hearing a screaming child.
Right.
So, parents, you really have to do what you have to do. And I think it's very dependent on your kids. But in terms of a restaurant, like we've really tried to commit to no screens.
Yeah.
Have we done it here and there? Probably whipped out our phone for a little bit just so we could finish up our meal and not
Yeah.
feel rushed to get out of there. But I will say we are seeing the fruits of that labor and it has paid off to fight that urge. And so I would encourage parents that if that is where you want to get, like you can get there, just play the long game,
Totally. Totally.
you know?
Yeah, no, I know. And I think that's why we're gonna go as long as possible. Like we have never done
Hmm.
screens at a restaurant, and that's why Kai is usually like very good. And I think this place was just like so overstimulating, and we had a jam-packed day, and I
Yeah.
think we had just done like we had gone to the farmers market that day, we had gone to Costco that day. Like those are big things for little people. And I think it was just all too much. But I am proud of us that we didn't just bring out the phone and be like,
Yes.
here.
Yeah. And another thing to add to that, just as a like clap for you thing, is I did see somebody talking about, or, it wasn't even, I didn't even see it. It was one of my friends. I was talking to my friend, and she was saying that their friend had said they regretted handing their child an iPad anytime they were crying. Not necessarily a restaurant, but just anytime they were having these big feelings, they would like throw a screen in front of
Oh,
them.
wow.
And they had a lot of regret about it because this child now had a hard time processing feelings and calming themselves down. It
Hmm.
served as a crutch. And the
Yeah.
parent in the time, in that moment, thought they were doing the right thing just to help their kid feel soothed. But instead of talking them through those feelings and like letting them cry and feeling their feelings, they put a band-aid on it. And in the long run, it ended up being detrimental to the kid just because they didn't know how to work through their feelings. So the sooner, and we're all just doing the
Well,
best we can is
and also, one of the hardest things to do is to listen to your child screaming and crying.
hmm,
It is,
rips your heart out.
it rips your heart out. It's
Yeah.
honestly, it shoots my nerves
Hmm.
because you're so stressed out wanting to like soothe your child, but also like this screams. It's awful.
Yeah.
I can't, like, I feel like I'm like so tense, especially Emma. Emma is a much different child than Kaya, and Emma will
Yeah.
like last night, 4:30 in the morning, woke up screaming, screaming, screaming. I was like, okay. So I went to go check on her, changed her diaper. She didn't like poop or anything like that. I just like rocked her for a second and then she was totally fine back to sleep. But like the screaming and like the crying, like it just, I couldn't go back to sleep after 4:30 in the morning because it just rattles you.
Yeah.
And so I understand the like want to like fix it as quickly as possible. Like I understand that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm with you, like no screens at restaurants.
I
Because yeah,
know.
you
It's
want to be
where,
able to take your kids to restaurants. Like I don't want to get a babysitter. First of all, babysitters are expensive, but you don't want to get a babysitter every time you want to go out and have a meal with your significant other.
yeah.
That's you want to
Well,
bring your kids with you and enjoy those moments together and,
yep.
have that time and feel like you can have that time.
Yeah. And again, if in order to do that and enjoy yourself, it means putting an iPad, we're
Yeah.
all doing the most with our kids at home and at school, and like we're all just doing the best we can. But I think it is good to talk to other moms about what they're
Yeah.
doing because it does help open your eyes to other perspectives. Like that friend of mine who was saying
I
that
wish
their
I
friend said they wish they hadn't put their iPad in front of their kid. And, that helped me think of something I hadn't thought of before, like let your kids feel your feelings. So,
totally.
again, no judgment, no matter where you stand, we stand with you. But if you wanted to hear our take,
That's our
where
take.
we stand,
La 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 la.
armchair experts, we are no experts, but this is where we are.
Wow,
Well, we
what a
love you
journey
guys.
that
Katie,
was.
I love you.
I
I
love
love
you.
talking to you and chatting it out. And we love you guys so much. Thanks for spending your Wednesday with us. We love these 30 minutes. And like we always said, motherhood is a sisterhood.